Council for June 23rd to order at 3 p.m. Jody?
Good afternoon. Please note council meetings are streamed live and recorded on YouTube. Attendees acknowledge that in accordance with Section 17.2 of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, names, addresses, and other details provided when speaking at a council meeting will be publicly shared. Should you have any questions related to the collection or disclosure of personal information, please contact the Legislative and Advisory Services Division for the Town of High River by sending an email to FOIP, that's FOIP, at highriver.ca.
Thanks, Jody. Well, that's for a motion in today's agenda adoption. A motion from Councillor Kinghorn that Council adopt the agenda for the regular council meeting June 23rd as amended, to remove item 5.2 regarding the council procedure bylaw, simply because I feel with an election 4 months away that this one, there's nothing of any immediate need on this, so we can just park this one and wait for the new council to decide how they want to operate. So amended to remove item 5.2. Councillor Kinghorn.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. You have the motion.
Thank you. All in favor? Comments? Carried. Adoption of the previous meeting's minutes. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Walsh that Council adopts the June 9th, 2025 regular council meeting minutes as presented.
You have my motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Two delegations today, the first one being from STARS, and Jackie Seeley is here to present for us. And just so council knows that if following this delegation, we're all just going to quickly come to the front, get a picture with Jackie for her, and then we'll get rolling with the rest of the meeting. Floor is yours, Jackie.
Hopefully it's on. It looks like it's on. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. It's a pleasure to come to your council today. Previously, my colleague Glenda Farndon attended, and so hello from Glenda. I was recruited to help cover Southern Alberta and joined STARS in October of 2023, right after Glenda was here. So I actually live in the small town of Bazzano, which is halfway between Calgary and Medicine Hat, and travel remotely across Southern Alberta in support of STARS. So without further ado, here is your report. So this year marks 40 years that STARS has been providing the highest level of critical care. So our 40th anniversary is here. Sadly, we have lost STARS founder, Dr. Gregory Powell. He passed away at the end of April. But our team is very dedicated to continuing his legacy of expanding from one base in Calgary to having 6 bases across Western Canada. And most importantly, as a charitable organization, thanks to donors like you, we continue to operate at no cost to the patient. Just an update on our funding. You may have heard on the news last year about this time that we secured another 10-year service agreement with our largest donor, Alberta Health Services. So that is at the $15 million per year block funding, similar to what we've been receiving since 2021, the same as. And after that, in Alberta alone, we still must fundraise 56% of our direct operating costs. The STARS Lottery continues to be our biggest fundraiser in Alberta, bringing in enough proceeds to pay for one base. And then, of course, it's business, individual donations, community-driven fundraisers, and also the municipal initiative that creates that long-term sustainability for STARS. Here's a map of Alberta and Northeast BC, which speaks to the different levels of support from municipalities. So first and foremost, the areas shown in the light blue are under $2 per capita. And then next we have our regional leaders, that is that sea of blue across the map. And so they're anywhere from $2, a minimum of $2 per capita, up to $90 per capita. many on a standing motion and as a line item in their, having STARS as a line item in their protective services budget. Our provincial leaders are shown in the bluish green there. And so many have been recognized with logo recognition on our helicopter once they reach the 500,000 in cumulative giving. So actually, in July, Rocky View County will have a logo unveiling for reaching 1 million in cumulative giving. So we'll have a special event for them. Our regional partnerships continue to grow across the province from what you've seen before. This is where the towns and villages, in partnership with the county or MD, are all in support of STARS in a united effort. And this really creates a robust health and safety network for all of us. Here is a mission statistics overview that we gave you a little more history on based on, we're reaching 40 years, so we thought we'd provide you a 15-year mission overview. So there's a lot of data here. What I want to emphasize is this is anybody who is passing through, Foothills County boundary or has been transferred from the High River Hospital. So this could be anyone who lives here or is working in the area or is just traveling through for vacation. And so let's just speak a little bit to the scene calls, even though you're in town here. On average, there are about 30 scene calls per year throughout the county. So that could mean even a town resident could be traveling somewhere and an incident occurs, and so they'd fall under these stats. And then looking below, the High River Hospital has 153 missions over the last 15 years, which works out to about 10 missions per year, almost a mission every month from the hospital. And of course, with those local scene calls, your fire department is also helping with the safe landing of our helicopters, so we really appreciate that. Taking a look at our postal code project that we've shown you in the past. So based on patient postal code information only, we track data back to 2010. And so the communities are listed down the left-hand side, and but we've included for the entire region as well. So 388 total residents from within Foothills County have been flown since 2010. 121 of those were High River residents, and 121 were picked up, so 121 picked up in High River, and then 267 residents were flown from 42 other locations across 4 provinces. So what's interesting here is all the High River residents, in this case, were picked up in High River. And the rest of the Foothills County residents were flown from various locations across the 3 provinces. So it just speaks to the fact that if you are traveling across Western Canada, your residents are supported wherever they may travel. This next slide speaks to basically a day in the life of the STARS Emergency Link Center in Calgary. So normally we do average about 11 missions per day from our 6 bases and flying over 60,000 missions to date. This particular mission log, there were 18 different types of missions. And so just to explain a little further of what types of missions come through the Emergency Link Center, mission number 3 was for a NICU patient. And this is where the STARS crew actually flew the NICU team out to where the critically ill newborn was, provided critical care on site, and then went by ground ambulance to the nearest hospital. So of course, in some cases, the patient isn't able to fly, so STARS is available on all modes of transport for critically ill or injured patients. Mission number 6 was a rollover incident near Edmonton that ended up in a canceled mission after the Emergency Link Center received more data. So it was deemed that it was no longer medically required. Mission number 7 was a workshop explosion where the helicopter was not dispatched, but alternate transport was arranged based on the patient's needs. Mission number 10 was near Grand Prairie, another motor vehicle collision, and based on the patient needs, it was deemed that it was best that they go by ground ambulance with the STARS Air medical crew. So there's different things that can affect whether a patient can fly. It could be respiratory, or it could be for a bariatric patient who's not able to be safely strapped into the helicopter. So basically that is a day in the life of what comes through the Emergency Link Center. It is a very busy center. In our last fiscal year, we had over 38,000 emergency requests that were anything, for patient care or through our STARS Vigilant site registration monitoring program. So STARS continues to be an innovator. We've talked about our night vision goggle capability in the past, which with more than 50% of our calls at night, it's important to be able to fly at night. And then in 2013, we added the universal blood on board, increasing to 4 units of blood in 2019. And now we've bolstered our medical toolkit by adding a new blood product. So this medication is for hemorrhage control. So when we know that the patient needs more than 2 units of blood, they can actually administer this new blood product to slow down the bleeding. So basically helping the blood to clot and slow bleeding to give that patient the life-saving time that they need. Virtual care. STARS has been operating with virtual care for a few years now. And so basically through a link to the hospitals that are on the virtual care consultation, they can open a link, and now the Emergency Link Center can see the patient on the screen. So this is how we can work with medical professionals at the hospitals to either provide medical guidance or procedural guidance. It's our ability to be able to provide critical care anywhere. So thank you, Town of High River. You have been a municipal supporter for quite some time now, and this portion of your general funding agreement for 2025 is at $16,525, so thank you very much for that. After 40 years, it's been donors like you that continue to make it possible. And as we continue to operate 24/7 across Western Canada with the addition of the virtual care. So life is saved every day, and your partnership makes it possible, so thank you.
Thanks, Jackie. Any questions from council? Obviously, the dollar amount gets discussed every year as to what our commitment and contribution will be during budget time. Any other questions from council? See none, hear none. Pretty simple.
All right, so I just would mention that we're currently in a 4-year agreement to 2027, so we greatly appreciate that. We do have a plaque presentation for you today, but first I would just like to note a couple things that I'll leave with you.
Sure.
And that is the Horizons magazine that has some of our VIP, very important patient stories in there. And also the STARS 40th anniversary calendar. So it's more VIP stories as well as kind of a timeline of the STARS history. So that's kind of interesting to look through. If you wouldn't mind passing on one copy for your fire department as well. So one copy for here and one for the fire department. But yes,
Sounds
we
good.
certainly would like to do a
Let's
plaque
get a photo.
presentation for you in recognition of your commitment to STARS.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, guys.
Okay, the next delegation that we have is from the Highlands Group regarding Spitzy Crossing.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. First of all, I'd like to thank you for fitting us into your agenda today. We appreciate that very much. I'm going to introduce who we have here today from our delegation. Not everyone is here, but Dave Sangard to my left. Dave represents the ownership group of the Highlands portion of the project, of the Spitzy annexation. And Troy McNeil with Malcolm Henley Engineering. Troy's been involved with us in that engineering, did the functional service report on the development. Been involved now since about 2014, probably, I guess. So, yes. So he knows the project quite well, in depth, the overall whole Spitzy, not just the Highlands. So, just as a quick note here on the document that we sent to you earlier in paragraph 2, we referred to the Canada Housing Infrastructure Fund. And that fund, we did apply for it. We haven't heard back on results yet, but that fund actually served as a really great catalyst at pulling the Spitzy landowner group together and giving us some much needed momentum to move forward as a group to get that Spitzy development serviced and moving forward. So as you work through it all, we're here today, I guess, to really begin a conversation with the town of High River to see how together we can get this project off the ground. It involves a significant private investment, as I mentioned in the letter, of the deep services, and involves some work with the town on how we can get a lift station in place and make sure we have adequate water for the Spitzy development to move forward. So that's why we're here today, to really address, how we get that conversation started and moving forward. The functional service report we did back, and it was approved, I believe, in 2016 by Malcolm Henley. That covered off the whole annexation, and it's off that we're launching forward with the designs and so on for the servicing of the main trunk lines to open up all the lands. So it opened up the full acreage. This proposal would address the 690 acres of land? Yes. In total. Would unlock it, open it up for housing of various types. And myself, I'm sorry I didn't say who I was, I'm Randy Aspinall, by the way. So I've been involved in the project since 2007, and we became involved after a market study on seniors. And that's what began our journey. And so this, getting this servicing in, opens up a very great opportunity and need to address seniors housing and care in High River as well. So that's a big part of what motivated me into this project and got us going on it. So that's kind of the crux of it. In doing the study for the grant program, we looked at the needs for affordable housing in High River, and of course, a lot of that comes down to being affordable through a higher density type of housing, and this opens up that opportunity in the annexation as well for housing. I think that really addresses most of the points I wanted to hit on it. In the actual document that we had submitted to you, we outlined where that annexation would go, where the lift station would go, and that is to the east. It's outside of the actual Spitzy annexation, and so it would actually also include a property being proposed for development and probably for development by Timber Creek. And you'll see on that drawing, if you can maybe click to page 3 for me. Yeah, thank you. there's a little, you can see on your drawing there, there's a little X there, it says proposed lift station. That's the lift station we're referring to. That would need to be developed to open up the whole area, as well as that parcel of land just below it. So that's I guess the real request is to open the door for conversation on how we move this forward together as a developers and town together. So, you guys have anything you want to add to it, guys?
That's good. You're good? Thanks, Randy.
Thank you.
Okay, so the normal philosophy with Down High River, just like many other communities, is that development pays for development. And so with the off-site levies coming into play in this proposed lift station, which services not just your guys' property, it serves everybody along the chain, and obviously Jimmy's property there, just north of Eagle View, and what he's looking at doing there. This isn't going to be, solved today, get an answer today.
Oh, no.
We're talking millions of dollars here. So yeah. it's obviously we're all trying to get this conversations started. At the same time, protecting the taxpayers of High River and the concept of development paying for development is because this development and the infrastructure that goes into it serves that development. This infrastructure does nothing for the taxpayers in the Southwest or the Southeast or anything else, right? But they will be funding it, right? So if we have to go into borrowing or anything to be putting in this lift station while we wait for offsite levies to pay it back. So there's lots of pieces in play. I don't know if planning or Riley, do you have much more to add? Obviously, this has always been the crux that's been difficult for one developer in the whole Spitzy group to fund to get this thing going, because it's a massive capital infrastructure outlay of funds before a single house can really be built to do it. Now there are different avenues of temporary solutions that we've talked about in the past and everything else. But ultimately, the final solution is the ultimate goal. So, any other questions from council? Obviously, this is just a starting point, but Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. You talked about seniors housing. Is that the whole purpose of the entire area? Will be for senior housing development of some sort?
Well, not the entire Spitzy, no, but on the portion we've classified for the Highlands, that was the key component in getting into that, was for seniors housing. So in the NOP, which has been put through and approved back in, I believe, 2015 range, you'll see it in that NOP where the seniors housing portion is, and that's what drove us to the High River area, was the market study for seniors. So.
Okay. So that proposal isn't in here, like to see what it sort of looks like?
No, I can certainly, forward the NOP onward for that too, if that helps it also. And back to your comment, Mayor, I think your comments are very valid on the risk portion, which is really why we, I guess in proposing to propose, we suggested it being a conditional thing. So in other words, we wouldn't ask town to commit to anything if we're not committed to getting the pipes in the ground and get going on it. So I think there's a lot of excitement right now, a lot of enthusiasm for development in the Northwest. And I believe it can work once we're going, but I agree with you totally as a risk factor. And I think we see it as being a conditional thing yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Thanks, Randy. Councillor Kinghorn.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. Do you have an idea of roughly what kind of money we're talking about for what you're proposing here? Just a rough, I'm not going to hold you to it, but are we talking 1, 3, 5,
I'm
10?
going to divert that to our engineer, Troy.
I assume that's why he's sitting there, so thanks.
Yes, we haven't come up with a real firm number yet. I think a lot of this depends on with the lift station, how we stage this, whether it's built to full capacity, staged for a quarter, a third, the full Spitzy area, those kind of things. There's certainly a lot of infrastructure to be done with that. There's a lift station, and there's also a force main that has to tie into your force main that goes out to the lagoons. I mean, spitballing, that's probably the first stage of this, probably on the lift station alone is probably in the $5 million range, I'm guessing. The SCADA controls and everything, I don't know. You
Okay, I'm not going to give you a number, ask you to hold to it, but a rough number.
Yeah. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, it's small, so.
I see Riley nodding his head, so that must include contingency?
So, I mean, we can certainly come back to council with some more, working through with engineering, depending on what that looks like. We could certainly try and get you some more information on the costs. Similarly, there's the water that Randy alluded to in terms of the pressure zones, the elevation of there's only so much water that can come through the line up, I think it's 7th Street there. And so there was a future reservoir planned, actually internal to the development. It's since been moved over in your studies to right along the street there. So we can fill much better and don't have to put a trunk line in to sort of reduce costs. And so that is also another piece that needs to be looked at in terms of a staging opportunity and how much needs to be done there and whether, how much you put in to get the first, whether it's 25, 50% sort of thing. And that really plays a huge factor into the costs. But of course, all that gets tied into your SCADA systems and your overall controls and everything. So, yeah.
Thanks, Troy.
So.
Yeah, so I think continuing to work with engineering and planning, of course, that's the main gig to get you moving forward.
Yep.
And then, once we have a little bit more information to Chris and Riley, that comes back to council. This is a long game. There will be a change of council in October, so we're lining that one up as well too. So I don't see much happening decision-wise on something like this until the new council's in place. But that being said, there's more than enough work that you guys can do between now and then. Of course, you know that. So. And just so that back to Councillor Jones, that Highlands development is on the corner of Cold Trail, right along your road, the Jenny Jones Road, right, that you want paved every day. It's right off the corner of that every year. And then, of course, the reservoir is a big piece, and the lift station is a big piece too. That's like what you've got in your letter. Those are the big ticket items that are key components that are holding on to this. So, anything else from Riley Engineering or Chris? We'll have these guys continue to work directly with you guys, and we'll get more information in the future. Leave it at that. Okay. Thanks, Randy.
Good. Thank you.
Dave.
Thanks very much.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Troy.
Thank you.
Land use bylaw amendment. Sarah?
Yes, good afternoon, Mayor and Council. The purpose of the subject site-specific land use bylaw amendment is to change the land use designation of the subject property from what it is now, which is urban reserve district, to traditional neighborhood district. The subject property is part of an existing area concept plan or ACP, and that is called the Ellis ACP. According to the applicant's cover letter that they provided for this application, they are ultimately proposing a quote-unquote new attainable market-oriented multifamily residential development, and their vision is, quote, a primarily primarily a 3-story ground-oriented residential multifamily building built form, while still allowing for support of commercial potential. Administration has reviewed the town plan and the land use bylaw with the applicant, and at this time, administration has not seen any formal elevation drawings or designs. Therefore, at this time, administration is unable to comment on the compliance of the land use bylaw, but of course, there will be further discussions with the applicant before they are applying for their major development permit. Some off-site levies will need to be addressed either at the time of subdivision or at the time of development permit or development agreement, whichever one of those 3 items comes first. And municipal reserve and environmental reserve is also going to need to be addressed. Town administration has been speaking with the land agent, and it appears that there are no concerns on this matter. The plan is for the municipal reserve to be taken on the portion of the land that is on the opposite side of High Country Drive. Administration recommends that council give first reading to this bylaw 4651/2025 and direct administration to organize the public hearing to be on July 14th, 2025 at 3:00 p.m. Are there any questions?
Well, thanks for yelling over top of our new HVAC
Yeah,
system.
that was intense.
So that's working. Can you just speak to the one piece that you mentioned about their permitting and everything? Like what we're doing today and changing the land use, does that affect anything? Like they kind of got to do the land use before they can apply for permits, right?
Exactly. So any type of development that they want to do going forward requires the land use to be in place. And that would be the case if they were just building a single family dwelling, and that would be the case for any type of development that they're moving forward with. They've given us some preliminary concepts. They've mentioned, as I said in my report, 108 units. This is very preliminary. They need to get the land use in place before they can apply for anything.
Okay, thanks, sir. Councillor Kinghorn?
Oops, sorry.
You got nothing. Sweet. Okay, this is just first reading, and then public hearing will be scheduled for July 14th. So I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Barton that council give first reading to bylaw 4651/2025, and the council direct administration to schedule a public hearing for July 14th, 2025 at 3 p.m.
You have my motion, Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Sarah. Second, third reading for the business license bylaw. Jocelyn?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. In response to the first reading, as well as the public hearing, the following adjustments have been made to the proposed bylaw. Number 17 is updated to state both personal and business vehicles should be parked in the public parking areas instead of in front of the business. And number 18 has been added, which states door-to-door sales are required to carry a valid business license when conducting business. We have also met with Inclusion Foothills to discuss adding an inclusion statement to our business license application process. Administration is recommending that council give second and third reading to bylaw 4648/2025, the business license bylaw, and that council repeal bylaw 4511/2017 business license bylaw, as well as bylaw 4547/2018 business license bylaw amendment. Does council have any questions?
Thanks, Jocelyn, and thanks for incorporating what you heard at the last meeting. Any questions from council? See none, hear none. A lot of discussion was had at the last meeting when we did the open house, or the public hearing. So I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Jones that council gives second and third reading to bylaw 4648-2025, the business license bylaw, and the council repeal bylaw 4511-2017, the business license bylaw, and bylaw 4547-2018, the business licenses bylaw amendment.
I'll give you that motion, Mayor Snodgrass.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Jocelyn. On to the mobile business policy.
Okay, so the mobile business policy was also updated in response to the proposed business license bylaw. So some of the changes in the policy include administration had recognized that our definitions on our types of mobile businesses has to match our insurance provider in the case that the mobile business seeks insurance through our provider. Because of that, we have removed both the peddler and hawker from our definitions. Door-to-door sales has been now designated under a regular business license, as they do not meet the definition of a mobile business proposed in the new policy. We are also no longer limiting food trucks to just private property as well as the CP rail lands. They will have the ability to move and park throughout the community in an effort to increase the opportunities for businesses to sell their products. We have also included the requirement of a green space access permit if they are utilizing a green space. And in regards to special events, all mobile businesses are still required to coordinate with the special event coordinator to discuss their participation. Does council have any questions about the policy?
Questions, comments from council? So going back to where where food trucks can set up, just give me more clarity there. Pretty much anywhere? No?
Anywhere that, so there's still first right of refusal for if you want to park outside of a business, the storefront that exists has first right of refusal to use that space before the mobile business can park there, which was already in our current policy.
Correct.
As well as they can't violate anything that's within the Traffic Act, which was still in our current policy. So what we've done is just adjusted it so they are limited to the storefront first right of refusal, Traffic Safety Act, but they're no longer limited to just the CP rail lands and the private property.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. Is there a time frame, is that part of the Traffic Safety Act, like a time frame they can be in a particular area?
I think it wouldn't be the Traffic Safety Act. That would resort back to the Good Neighbor bylaw for operations.
When, do you know what that is?
10 p.m. would cease operations and 7 a.m. Yes, yeah.
But could they park there like overnight, not be open, but park somewhere overnight or no?
Technically, I don't think that violates or, no? Oh, Chris.
I think that would be just parking a vehicle on the street where it's public parking, correct?
Yeah, and most food trucks will take their vehicles home. They won't leave them overnight because there's basically a commercial kitchen within that space plus their stock capabilities. So, that has not been a typical practice to leave them parked. They will remove them.
But there are ones that are local, and I notice they'll park them in their driveway or on their lot. But I don't know if we change the bylaw, if they can just put them out on the street.
I think that, if they were to park in one of our green spaces or in public parking area, they would have to have that clarity from their own insurers, whether or not their insurance would cover them for those spaces.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Kinghorn.
Thanks, Mayor Snodgrass. Typically, a food truck is designated a vehicle. It has an engine, it can drive, it can move around. Are we encompassing that? I'm starting to see a lot more application from food trucks that are essentially trailers. They haul it behind a truck, or the High River Auxiliary is another example that they like to use that. Does this bylaw sort of recognize that style of business?
Yes, it does. So it includes both the food vehicle with the motor as well as carts or even a push cart bicycle.
The old hot dog stand kind of thing?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, all encompassing.
Excellent, thanks.
Yeah.
Retirement plans? Can't wait to see that motorhome driving around trying to sling hot dogs out of a trailer. There we go. Mouth guard. Thanks very much. Where am I at now? Ask for a motion from Councillor Nychuk that Council approve the mobile business policy as presented.
Give you that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Jocelyn. Great
Thank
job.
you. Thank you.
Generative AI policy. Jody, we're
Yes.
there, hey?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Administration has been reviewing and researching best practices for generative artificial intelligence, or Gen AI, policies for about a year. Generative AI has been coming along very quickly lately, and a number of municipalities are getting policies in place that can provide direction to staff as well as the community as to how Gen AI is being used. Our research has included internal review by human resources, our information technology or information specialist, communications, and then the legislative and advisory services divisions. We have also received information from our risk and insurance representatives as well as our legal team and researched what other municipalities are doing with this quickly evolving tool. There are significant opportunities to use Gen AI. However, we want to ensure that the various tools are being used responsibly, including confidential and personal information collected and held by the town remaining secure, development and sharing of information that is accurate, inclusive, and unique to the town. There may be opportunities to enhance productivity, efficiencies, and decision-making when it is appropriate. Transparency when Gen AI has been used to create materials or support decision-making should also be openly shared. This is an opportunity to use some tools, but be very transparent that generative AI or generative artificial intelligence has been used in creating the materials or in supporting a decision. In addition to what is in the council package, is there anything that council would like to ask or have clarity on?
Councillor Nychuk. Thanks, Jody.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. In terms of ultimate oversight, unless I missed, who's ultimately responsible? Is it our IT department that is front and center on this? Because, I mean, there's a bazillion different AI platforms you can use. When we talk about safety and security, some of them are and aren't. And when I say they aren't, it becomes public domain. So if we were to say, for example, I don't know, use AI to distinguish something within assessment or taxation, and we used it using information that we hold internally, that can become public domain. So how are we, what's our oversight on that? Who's the gatekeeper or the key master to what platforms we may or may not be using? And then then putting that forward to staff that are within the organization on what you can and can't use. Because I mean, this can be a bit of a runaway freight train. It's fantastic what it can do. It's absolutely mind-blowing what it can do. But there's also some things in terms of protection and security that we have to be really aware of. So my point coming back to is who's the gatekeeper? Do we have an ultimate gatekeeper in place?
We do not have an ultimate gatekeeper in place. We are hoping to make the use of generative artificial intelligence less taboo. There have been some instances where people or staff have come forward and said, oh, no, we cannot use Gen AI. And that's not the intent. We want to make sure that you may use Gen AI even to help formulate an email or like even internal an email. but that when we are doing that, we're doing so safely. And that any personal information is absolutely not put into those artificial intelligence domains, because then they become public, they become part of the vast system that is generative AI, which we then have no control over. So it's a matter of helping staff understand, which, if the policy is adopted, we will be looking at training to make sure staff know. Yes, you can use Gen AI, however, make sure you're not putting in Jody Hipkin did XYZ at work and is now being reprimanded, or those types of things, to make sure that if you are referring to the town of High River, maybe we strip out High River and just refer to town. We strip out any names, any personal information, anything that can be related back to an individual or the organization itself. So that's the overall intent, not necessarily a single gatekeeper, but hoping that everyone as leaders within the organization will take that responsibility very close to heart.
So simply, it sounds like we're going to maybe start within the Microsoft platform that we use, and maybe Copilot will be one of those things that helps people with their schedules or their emails, and we're going to take this a step at a time, because there are bots and agents you can use for just about anything nowadays, and we will vet those out as we move forward. This is the baseline to encourage that we're going to do this and start the process of utilizing it for our benefit. Correct, more or less? Other things
Yes.
will come down the road.
Yes, as it continues to evolve, there may be other opportunities where we are actually using it as a tool for a specific direction or initiative, but right now I don't think we're not at that point. This is more or less, let's figure out what it may be able to do for us, but let's do so safely.
Councillor Jones?
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. Jody did allude to some training. It would be, I think, with this, some training and resources would be important to educate people on how to use it, because it does sound a little scary when you say you can't put this and this and this in there, but how do you use it and how to use it appropriately? So, yeah, I think it's sort of the wave of the future, and they're using it in schools and all sorts of places, but education on that is really important.
This is definitely not a one and done policy, and AI is an absolute monster that we're all starting to wrap our heads around, and how we can use it and how it's very beneficial, but also how dangerous in the wrong hands that AI can be. And so this is a policy that's absolutely going to evolve, and you're absolutely right, Councillor Nychuk, that it needs to be monitored thoroughly and by everybody as to how it's being used. But this policy is also one that needs to be amended regularly too, as we learn and how we see how everything's going, that this will be a very much an organic process to go through, because I appreciate so much that you're getting ahead of this, Jody, and you guys have done a lot of work in getting us there. So this is an absolute starting point that's very, very important, but as we go along, this will be amended constantly. So on that, no further questions or anything. Councillor, ask for a motion from Councillor Kinghorn that Council adopt the generative artificial intelligence policy POL 0086 as presented.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. You have the motion.
Thank you. All in favor? Yeah, it's hard to hear. I know, Maureen. That thing's just, I don't know they got it on high. Yeah. Strategic priorities chart, the quarterly update. Chris?
Thanks, Mayor Snodgrass. As Council's aware, June 16th, we had our strategic quarterly update meeting, and we went through our current chart of our strategic priorities. As you'll note within the report, the 5 core priorities have remained the same. One has been renamed from the 112th Area Structure Plan to the High River Northeast Area Structure Plan. And there's been movement on all top 5 priorities in some form or on some of the processes. The top 5 priorities remain recycling and composting with the public education program slated for December. The skate park, council received the presentation today about the concept that was the preferred design from the public that will be moving forward to a funding strategy for October. Town Farm Outdoor Rink, construction is anticipated to start in June sometime, before the end of the month, hopefully. High River Northeast Area Structure Plan has moved on from the contract and the RFP process to public engagement, which will kick off in July. And that's just the first of 3 phases of public engagement for that process. That also incorporates a council workshop on August 11th that's tentatively scheduled, which is a regular council meeting day. And then the water strategy terms of reference, we've amended the date to October as we wait for some more information. Within the next list, nothing really has changed within that next list program, and we continue to wait for something to come off the top 5. Now, with the election coming up, we do have a strategic priority setting session slated with an outside consultant for November 17th and 18th, which may or may not change the entire list, but we'll wait to that point before we make any decisions. The biggest change has been in the advocacy aspect of things. We've reduced that significantly from 6 items down to 1. And we have been able to move past the EAB's decision on the Rimrock biodigester and remove that from the list, because that was what we were advocating, was for changes to the permit when it came to the biodigester, and the EAB made their decision and has now moved on to the public hearing process with Foothills County. So we are left with 1 item left on the advocacy aspect of things, and that's our advocacy as it relates to coal mining and the provincial policy related to that. So based upon that, that's the rationale for the recommendation that you see before you today. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chris. Just one point of clarification, that just because something comes off that advocacy list does not mean we've gone to sleep on it and it's gone forever and we will never. And specifically speaking about the biodigester, we are watching every single step of the way. We will be watching it if everything goes according to their plan and it's being constructed and everything. We will be watching the construction and paying close attention to that. We will also be watching that once it's operational, exactly how that's going. That was our biggest concern and why we put our appeal towards to the EAB was simply operational concerns that we had, as well as design concerns with the construction of their open-air ponds, and that was the big one. And the operational piece as to how it needs to be operated properly, as well as we think it should go under the Ministry of Energy because it's an energy producing facility, being natural gas being the end product. So just because it comes off the advocacy does not mean we've gone to sleep. We're looking at it directly. But any other comments from council? I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Walsh that council adopt the updated top 5 strategic priorities as follows: the recycling and composting program, number 1. Number 2, the skate park. Number 3, the town farm outdoor rink. Number 4, the High River Northeast Area Structure Plan. Number 5, our water strategy. As well, that council adopt the updated strategic priorities chart and work program as presented.
You have my motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Chris. Guy Wadick Rodeo sponsorship. So this is a shoot sponsor that we do every year for the Guy Wadick Rodeo. Obviously, the rodeo was canceled this past weekend. They have found a new weekend, and if I remember right, it's the August 20th.
I thought it was August 8th.
August 8th? Are you sure? Hang on. Let me, I don't have my other. 8th, 9th, and 10th? Okay. Regardless of what the weekend is, we'll sort that out. The council, so I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Barton that council approve the $2,500 rodeo shoot branding sponsorship to support the 2025 Guy Wadick Rodeo.
You have my motion, Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Councillor board and committee reports, anyone? See none. Public comments, anyone? Council correspondence for information, correspondence regarding Hampton's bypass roundabouts on 112th Street. I know, spoke to Chris about this, so they're looking into that. And nothing else. Meeting adjourned, 3:54.